A woman is humiliated when her husband cancels her wedding invitation to his brother's grand ceremony, not knowing the entire event is being held in one of the luxury hotels she secretly owns. What starts as betrayal ends with a shocking power shift that leaves everyone stunned. I stared at the wedding invitation lying on the marble counter. It was embossed with gold letters, dripping with elegance. A grand ceremony at the Royal Crest Hotel, one of the most prestigious venues in the city. The groom was my husband's younger brother, and I had been looking forward to this day for months. Not because of him, but because it was supposed to be our family's big moment. But then the email came. From my husband. Cold. Short. Almost like a business memo. Your invitation has been canceled. It's better if you don't attend. This isn't the right time. I reread it 3 times, convinced I'd misunderstood. But the message was clear. I was uninvited from my own brother-in-law's wedding. When he walked into the house that night, still in his tailored navy suit, I asked calmly, "Did you send this?" He didn't even look guilty. "Yes. I think it's best if you stay home. Things between us are complicated. It's my family. I don't want drama." His family. As if I was some stranger. As if the past 7 years of marriage didn't exist. I swallowed my pride. "And what do you think people will say when I don't show up?" He shrugged. "They'll assume you're sick. Or traveling. Don't make this difficult. Don't make this difficult." The words echoed in my head like a warning. I didn't fight. I didn't scream. I just nodded slowly, hiding the storm building behind my composed expression. Because what he didn't know was that the Royal Crest Hotel, the very venue for his brother's glamorous wedding, belonged to me. Not in some symbolic way. Not as a family heirloom. Legally. Entirely. The hotel was part of the luxury chain I quietly inherited 3 years ago from my late father, a chain I had deliberately kept out of our marriage conversations. My husband always prided himself on being the successful one, always flaunting his business connections, always assuming I was just enjoying the lifestyle he built. He never bothered to ask what I built on my own. So when he canceled my invitation, I made a decision. I was going to attend that wedding. Not as a guest, but as the woman who owned the walls, the chandeliers, the staff uniforms, and the ground beneath their feet. The week leading up to the ceremony was interesting. I didn't confront him again. He carried on with his usual arrogance, busy with rehearsals, dinners, and family meetings, all while acting as if I'd vanished from existence. But I was busy too. I called the hotel's general manager, a discreet man who had worked for my family long before my husband ever entered my life. "I'll be attending the wedding," I told him, "but not as a regular guest. I want full control over the private lounge, the staff protocols, and I need a few adjustments made." He didn't ask questions. He simply said, "Understood, ma'am. We'll make it happen." The day before the wedding, my husband returned home late, humming with excitement. He didn't even bother to ask where I'd been. He assumed I'd accepted my fate. "Everything's ready," he told me casually over dinner. "It's going to be the biggest wedding of the year. I'm glad you understood and didn't cause a scene." I smiled faintly. Of course, I wouldn't want to ruin the big day. Inside, I was already picturing the look on his face when he saw me standing in the middle of my hotel, with every staff member answering to me. The morning of the wedding was glorious. Sunlight spilling over the glass walls, luxury cars lined up like a red carpet parade. Guests poured in dressed in couture, flashes of diamonds, silk, and expensive perfumes in the air. My husband arrived hours earlier, too preoccupied to notice the subtle changes I had ordered. The floral arrangements in the lobby were replaced with my personal signature design, white orchids with emerald ribbons. The background music playlist was switched to my father's favorite classical pieces. Even the welcome drinks carried the crest of my family's chain on the napkins. He didn't notice, but others did. The bride's parents whispered to each other, "Has the hotel changed ownership recently?" Another guest murmured, "This is different from the usual Royal Crest setup." I arrived just before the ceremony began. A sleek black limousine pulled up at the private entrance, an entrance only the owners used. I stepped out in an elegant emerald gown, tailored to perfection, the colors subtly matching the decor I'd chosen. My hair was pinned high, my heels clicked against the marble as the staff greeted me with a soft, "Welcome, ma'am." Their respectful tone caught a few guests' attention. Heads turned, eyes widened. Some recognized me from society galas. Others simply sensed that whoever I wasn't just another guest. As I walked through the lobby, my husband caught sight of me for the first time. His eyes narrowed. Confusion flickered across his face. Then irritation.
He strode toward me.
"What are you doing here?" he hissed under his breath, trying to maintain his charming public facade. I tilted my head slightly, as if amused by his question. "Enjoying the wedding, of course. I told you not to come." "And yet," I said softly, leaning closer, "here I am." He clenched his jaw. "This isn't your place today. Don't make a scene." I almost laughed. "Oh, darling, I'm not the one who should be worried about scenes." Before he could respond, the hotel manager approached us with a warm smile. "Ma'am, everything is set in the owner's lounge. Would you like me to escort you there?" His face drained of color. "Owner's lounge," he repeated slowly, turning to me like he'd just heard something impossible. I gave a polite nod to the manager. "Yes, please." And with that, I walked away, leaving my husband standing in the middle of the lobby, surrounded by guests, completely unaware that the stage he thought he controlled belonged entirely to me. As I stepped into the owner's lounge, the familiar scent of sandalwood and jasmine filled the air. It was my father's signature fragrance, something I had kept alive in every property we owned. The panoramic glass wall overlooked the entire ballroom below. From here, I could see everything. The grand stage, the chandelier glittering like frozen fireworks, the orchestra preparing for their opening melody. The hotel manager adjusted his cufflinks nervously. "Everything is proceeding smoothly, ma'am. The staff is fully briefed. The VIP protocols have been activated as you requested." I gave him a small nod.
"Good.
"Let's keep it flawless." Below, my husband paced near the entrance, trying to hide his unease behind forced smiles as relatives surrounded him. Every now and then, his gaze darted upward toward the lounge windows, as if hoping to understand what had just happened. The ceremony began. The bride walked in, glowing under the golden lights, her family beaming with pride. Guests whispered, cameras flashed. It was perfect on the surface. But beneath that polished exterior, cracks were forming. Halfway through the ceremony, I made my entrance. Not to the stage, not to the family rows, but directly through the central aisle. Every pair of eyes turned. The murmur spread like wildfire.
"Who is she?
Why is she entering now?" The staff moved in perfect coordination, opening the path as if rehearsed. My heels clicked steadily, echoing through the hall like a drumbeat. My emerald gown shimmered beneath the chandeliers. There was no arrogance in my walk, just quiet power. I reached the front row where his family sat. My husband rose abruptly, panic flashing in his eyes. "What are you doing?" he whispered sharply. "Attending the wedding," I replied softly, "like everyone else." Before he could usher me away, the hotel's head of operations approached and addressed me respectfully, loud enough for those nearby to hear. "Ma'am, the press room is ready. The board members have arrived as per your instructions." Board members. Press room. His aunt's fan froze midair. His cousin's jaw dropped. A ripple of confusion spread through the guests. He grabbed my arm discreetly. "What is going on?" I turned to him slowly, locking eyes with him. "I told you, I own this place." For a moment, he thought I was bluffing. He had always underestimated me, always believed the luxurious life we lived was because of his brilliance, his charm, his connections. But now, the cracks in his confidence showed. The reception after the ceremony was a spectacle of opulence. Crystal centerpieces, live orchestra, silk-draped tables. Every detail whispered class. And I had planned something he didn't see coming. Just before the dinner speeches, the hotel's senior spokesperson took the stage. "Ladies and gentlemen," he began with his polished voice, "on behalf of Royal Crest Luxury Holdings, we want to express our gratitude for choosing our venue for this special day. Tonight is not just a wedding, It's also the celebration of a milestone for our company. People turned their heads, curious. The spokesperson continued, "We are honored to have our chairwoman present among us. The woman whose vision keeps this empire thriving. Please welcome." He turned toward me. A spotlight hit. My husband's face froze completely. Mrs. Alina Crest. The room erupted in applause. Many guests rose to their feet, some out of respect, others out of sheer surprise. Cameras flashed. My husband stood beside me like a ghost in his own story, trying to comprehend the shift that had just occurred. I walked up to the stage, calm and poised. The spokesperson handed me the microphone. "Thank you," I began, my voice steady. "It's an honor to host such a beautiful celebration in one of our finest properties. My father built this chain with integrity and vision. And tonight, as I look around this room, I'm reminded of why we continue his legacy, not just to run hotels, but to create moments that last forever." The crowd clapped warmly, but my eyes stayed on my husband. His smile was brittle, stretched thin. I continued, "This hotel has witnessed countless celebrations, but tonight it feels special, because sometimes life gives us unexpected moments. Moments where the truth steps out of the shadows and into the light." There was a subtle edge in my words, one only he fully understood. When I stepped down from the stage, people surrounded me, shareholders, guests, influential families, showering me with congratulations and questions. His mother looked stunned. His father avoided eye contact. His brother, the groom, stammered out a polite, "I had no idea." My husband finally cornered me near the staircase. "You planned this," he hissed. I looked at him coolly.
No, you did.
"When you uninvited me, you humiliated me." I leaned closer, my voice soft but razor-sharp.
No.
I reminded everyone who I am. Throughout the evening, I noticed the shift. People who once flocked to him now turned their attention toward me. His business associates whispered among themselves, recalculating alliances. His relatives approached me with newfound respect. The balance of power had quietly, irreversibly, shifted. And he felt it, every second of it. During the dinner, his father stood up to give a speech. But before he could speak, he glanced at me, hesitated, and then changed his opening line to acknowledge my father's legacy and my leadership. My husband's jaw tightened. After the formalities ended, he followed me into the private garden terrace, away from the cameras and crowd. The night was quiet, a soft breeze rustling the roses. "Why didn't you tell me?" he demanded, frustration simmering beneath his controlled tone. "Because you never asked," I replied calmly. "You were too busy believing the world revolved around you." He stepped closer, eyes narrowing. "So, this is your revenge? Making a fool out of me?" I met his gaze, unwavering.
No.
This was a reminder. "You treated me like I didn't belong. You canceled my invitation. But I was never outside the circle. I built the circle." His silence said everything. He wasn't used to losing control. For the rest of the night, I enjoyed the event not as a sidelined wife, but as the silent force that made everything possible. Guests approached me for interviews. The media covered the unexpected revelation. By the end of the evening, #TheWeddingWasHers was trending across social platforms. When we finally got home, he tried to break the silence. "You made your point," he muttered. I turned to him with a faint smile. "I didn't make a point. I simply stopped hiding." The next morning, newspapers, digital outlets, and social media were flooded with images of me at the wedding, standing beneath the hotel crest, headlines echoing the same theme. She owned it all. He had wanted me silent, invisible, compliant. Instead, he ended up standing in a room where every wall whispered my name. And the best part? I never raised my voice. I never needed to. Power doesn't shout. It simply reveals itself at the perfect moment.